Hello chess fans and welcome to Chess5, and today I'm going to show you a pretty interesting game between Magnus Carlsen versus Artemiev Vladislav. And the game is from the chess.com Champions Chess Tour Aimchess US Rapid Knockout 2021, and the game was played on 4th September 2021 according to India. So the game is very crazy actually. That's why I wanted to show you this game. The game is going to be very interesting and we are going to learn from it. And yep, the game is from these two top players, Magnus Carlsen, the world champion, and Artemiev Vladislav, having a rating of above 2750. Definitely a very strong GM, one of the best in the world. So let's check it out, this interesting game which was played in the finals. Yes. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Chess Vibes. So Magnus Carlsen with the white pieces and Artemiev Vladislav with the black pieces. So Magnus Carlsen with the white pieces started the game with 1 d4, and Artemiev Vladislav with the black pieces replied with d5. We have c4 by white, e6, knight c3, and now we have c5 by white. So after knight c3 we have the queen's gambit decline, but after c5 we have the Tarrasch defense. So usually what I usually do here, I usually continue the game with knight f6. Tell me in the comment box, how do you continue in this position from the black side? So after knight c3, Artemiev played c5. c5 is not actually very common. Usually black plays knight f6, bishop e7, castle, c6, perhaps even b6, bishop b7, knight d7. But Artemiev chose c5. c5 is very complicated. After c5, Magnus Carlsen decided to capture the pawn on d5. A very nice move. We have e into d5, and now we have d into c5. I have also played in the position. After capturing, I usually play knight to f3 in the position. So I want to keep the position very positional. And yep, I'm simply developing the pieces. But what Magnus Carlsen played, he simply captured the pawn on c5. So he's not scared of any complication position because he's already world class player, world champion. So after d into c5, black decided to play d4. If you try to capture the pawn on c5 with the bishop, then after queen into d5, you have just lost a pawn. That's why Artemiev first pushed the pawn to d4, hitting the knight. So white played knight to a4, going for the protection of pawn on c5. After knight a4, black played b5. Very complicated already. Yeah, because b5 actually suits the position very nice. And b5 is actually the best move in the position. Definitely Artemiev must have played the position very many times. After b5, the idea of playing b5 here is the b5 pawn is attacking the knight on a4, and now knight is having no space to go. But white can do n passing. So white played it. White n passing, and now black simply captured the pawn. And if I count the material in the position, white is having 6 pawns and black is having 5 pawns. So materially black is a pawn down, but if I talk about the position, just look at the position. White, I don't know, black is having a very nice center for now, because his pawn is already advanced to d4. And if I talk about the knight on a4, which is very bad placed, and black rook is open, black bishop is open, both the bishops are open, the knight can develop very freely, and yeah, just you can see the arrows. The game is already actually, I personally favor black in the position, and in just saying it's an equal position after black is the pawn down. So after into b6, we have b3 by white, protecting the knight. We have b5, hitting the knight, knight b2, bishop b4 check, bishop d2. We have a bishop trade, knight f6, and now we have e4 in the position. And e4 is actually the best move. e3 is also a move, but e4 is the best. The reason e4 is the best here black is having 2 options to capture the pawn on e4. he can either end pass it or he can either capture the pawn with the knight straightly. In the game, we have knight into e4, which was the right continuation. But if Artemiev would have end pass it, then Artemiev game would already have been over, because now comes a very powerful move. Bishop into b5 check, capturing up a pawn. We have knight d7. It doesn't matter if you try to put the knight or bishop. So after knight d7, we have queen into e3 check. So after queen e7, after a queen trade, you can see, just count the material. White is 2 pawn up on the queen side. He can simply push the pawn and white is winning completely. So that was the reason g into e3 was not played, and Artemiev played the right move by capturing the pawn with the knight. And many of you were thinking why white simply just gave up the pawn for free. Actually, that's the best reply, because you can see black is having a very nice activity. So it's better to give some material and get the equal activity as your opponent. For example, if you try to play something like g3, if you want to develop the bishop on g2, now I can play a very powerful move, knight d4 in the position, hitting the queen. So after something like, if you try to play queen b4, then I can play already queen f6. Queen f6 or even knight c6 is already better. After queen f6, I'm hitting the pawn. So after something like knight f3, I can play knight c6, hitting the queen. If you try to capture the pawn, I can play castle in the position. And just look at the activity. Black already castles, his pieces are nicely placed. And if you try to play bishop g2 in the position, I can play bishop a6, hitting the queen. I can't play this position. After queen b6, you can even play rook fb8, hitting the queen. Just too bad for white. That was the reason. The best move is to e4, sacrificing a pawn. After e4, knight captured. We have bishop into b5 check, bishop d7, and now we have queen b4 by white. You cannot capture the pawn because here comes queen f5 check, and after queen f5 check, b4, after b4, queen to b5, queen to e4 check, king f8 is a blunder because here comes a4, hitting the queen. The best move in the position is to play king d8, and you should be alert. If you try to capture the queen, if you try to capture the rook on 8, then I can play a very strong move, the only move, rook e8 check. After king d1, I'm having this queen f1 check. After king d2, I'm having this queen into f2 check. King c3, I'm having the only move in the position, which is queen to f6 check. And yeah, after king c2, I'm having this bishop f5 check, and it's already over for white. That's why queen into d4 would have been a bad idea. So we have this queen b4, we have knight c3, we have a bishop trade, king f1, knight c6, rook e1 check, we have king to d8, queen b6 check, queen f7, queen c7, sorry, we have queen c5, and we have rook into a2. All those who are thinking, why not to simply trade the queens and play a4, just skipping the pawns. But after, if you try to even play this position, black can play rook h2 b8, and you are still losing the pawn on b3. So nothing is much is happening. That's why we didn't have a queen trade. If I was there, I must have gone for the queen trade. Magnus is Magnus. He played queen c5. We have rook into a2, knight d3, rook e8, and we have knight to f3. Not trading the rook. He wants to simply develop the pieces. We have rook a5, hitting the queen. So we have queen c4, rook into e1 check, knight into e1, queen d7, h4. Wow. The idea of playing h4 here is, as white cannot castle no longer, he wants to develop the rook like this. Very nice idea. After h4, we have queen d5. So Artemiev wants a queen trade. Magnus says, okay, you can trade. I'm not going to trade. He plays rook h3. Artemiev traded the queens. We have rook a4, knight into d4. Wow. After knight into d4, Artemiev played rook into c4. If you try to capture the knight after rook into c3, I'm having a pawn up. Still, it's an equal position, but white is at least better because he's having this a pass piece. After rook into c3, that's why black didn't capture the knight and he played rook into c4. Now the rook is protecting both the knights. We have knight f5. After knight f5, black played g6. And at the place of g6, black should have played something like knight e5. There are many moves in the position, and the position is actually equal. Black can either play knight e5, he can play knight d5. It doesn't matter, he can even play knight b4. Many moves are there for black. But okay, Artemiev played g6. He wanted to protect this g7 pawn. But after g6, it's your time. Feel free to pause the video and try to find a killer blow. From that blow, Artemiev simply resigned the game. So try to find the best move in the position. I'll give you a couple of seconds. So okay, so I hope you have all found the move. Not that hard, but okay, there are two moves for white to win the game. He can either play rook to d3 check, or he can play knight d6. We have knight d6, which is the smooth variation, very smooth to win the game. After knight d6, we have simply hitting the rook on c4, and you cannot move the rook from the c file because the knight is hanging on c3. So even if you try to play something like rook d4, saying that okay, if white tries to capture, I'm going to capture, and it's an equal position. But actually, white is not going to capture directly. First, he's going to play a very nice move. There comes knight into f7 check. King e7, rook into c3. Now I'm going to capture the knight. And if you try to capture the knight, rook into c6, and I'm a knight plus, and you're just simply losing. That's why after g6, knight d6, even if you try to play rook c5, protecting the knight, I'm having this knight b7 check, and it's game over. So that is why after knight d6 on the move number 29, Artemiev Vladislav realized that he has already lost this game. So he resigned the game, and Magnus Carlsen with the white pieces won the game. The game was very complicated. Both the players didn't make so many mistakes, but the real meaning of showing you the game here is the game was very complicated, and actually I favored Vladislav Artemiev in the game because you just saw a whole game. Just tell me who played much better. Definitely Magnus Carlsen made an epic defense and he won the game, but in the whole game I think Artemiev Vladislav was the only one who was pressing in the whole game. Just let's see from the start. Artemiev Vladislav just simply complicated the game, made the game complicated. He had a huge amount of development, and he used that development to put pressure on Magnus Carlsen. But we know that Magnus Carlsen is the world champion. He's not going to mess this around, and okay, he played very well, and he won the game. But in the last second, Artemiev made a blunder. If he haven't played this g6 move, the game would have been a draw. But okay, Magnus Carlsen won the game. Kudos to Magnus Carlsen. He won the tournament of the Champions Chess 2 2021. But Artemiev Vladislav also played very well. So if you guys like the video, then please like the game. If you all guys like the game, then please like to my video. If you are new to my channel, then please subscribe to my channel because it motivates me to upload new videos like this. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Chess Files.